Hello friends, I'm very bundled up today because we are in the middle of that extreme cold and I actually just got a message from the power company saying to conserve heat because the power grid is at risk of shutting down, so I didn't turn on the heater in the room. I'm just very cold, but I'm trying to be a responsible citizen. Have you ever noticed how sometimes it's not the most talented people who get ahead? There are, of course, many reasons why success might occur. There's luck, privilege and connections, there's hard work, there is talent, of course. But one thing I haven't talked about on the channel in a while is dealing with the emotional state of being a creative and mastering all of the emotions that come along with it. As a result of a video I made the other day, I got into a discussion about the tension between being impatient about getting your work out there versus the urge to procrastinate and never get your work out there. And you might actually experience both of these things at different points, or maybe even kind of the same point in your creative journey. So this video is about some of the different things that can trip you up emotionally, psychologically along the way. And I've experienced all of these and continue to experience many of these. So this is kind of like my personal experience, my best advice. Obviously, I'm not a therapist or psychologist or anything. I'm just someone who has been working as a novelist for over 15 years now. Okay, so first let's talk about the procrastination and the impatience. There might be times where you create something and you're really excited about it and you just want to get it out there. You might feel like you've leveled up and you have a rush of confidence. This is the best thing, the most exciting thing you've ever done, and you're just gonna send it out, you're gonna hit publish, whatever method you've chosen, you're just gonna put it out there. On the other hand, you have procrastination. You have the book that you've worked on forever and you're just paralyzed as far as finishing it, or you do finish it and then when it comes to like indie publishing it or sending it out to agents or whatever, you freeze. You're like, I better tweak it a little more. How do you wrangle with those feelings? I feel like sometimes the excitement, the impatience to send something out there, like if you feel that, I feel like you should just seize upon it and do it, even if you're not ready, because that is often how you learn. Whatever feedback you get, good or bad, it might crush you in the moment, but the willingness to put it out there, that's kind of how you grow. The problem with that sense of impatience is if you never stop to be patient, like ever, you never stop to grow and actually work on the craft. Like you kind of want a push and pull between these two things, because sometimes you do want to just buckle down and focus on improving, and other times you have to feel like, I feel like this is really good and I need to send it out there. Sometimes the only way to know if you're good is just to try. And when I was younger, like even when I was a kid and there'd be like those little contests in a magazine or something, like a little writing contest for kids, I would never enter them because I would always feel like, gosh, there's so many kids in the world, like I can't be one of the best. There's no way I'm going to win this. So I never tried. And I probably should have. It's possible that like I was the best. You don't know until you try, and if you don't win, you're kind of in the same place as you started, already thinking in your head like, there's no way I'm the best. Well, okay, you didn't win. You were probably right. Out of all the kids that entered, you weren't the best. But it's possible that you might actually get some wins in there. And also the act of creating the thing for the thing sometimes is what can spur you on. So I think it's good if you can use that impatience, and it's like a moment where you're hitting the gas and I've been sitting here for like 5 minutes now trying to think where to take that hit the gas metaphor. But I don't know. Just sometimes you want to be impatient and you want to get it out there. Procrastination, on the other hand, that is one of probably the biggest roadblocks of success out there, when you never do the thing. It's so important to actually do the thing. I feel like most people who become successful have that like dawning realization moment where you realize that you just have to do it if you want to achieve your dream. You just have to. There is no shortcut. You have to make the time. You have to make the discipline. You're not just going to do it when you're the most inspired or when you have like 2 weeks off. You have to fit it in. If you really want it, you just have to make the time, and then you have to send things out, even knowing that it might be a flop. You might get rejections. People might hate it, but you're going to grow from that experience. I started to look at rejections as like a weird kind of success because they said to me, you did the thing, good for you, you racked up a rejection. It's so important to switch into that mindset that every time you get a rejection, that's like, yay, you rocked it, you did something, yay, you are ahead of so many people if you have a pile of rejections or a bunch of indie published books that failed or a bunch of short stories that you sent out, nobody acquired them. Whatever it is, if you have done the thing, you are ahead of most people. Pursuing your dreams can admittedly be exhausting. It's very important to take care of yourself. Last summer in particular, as some of you know, I was really struggling with fatigue and insomnia that was making it really hard to write. It turned out to be perimenopause, and one of the things that got me through it was investing in my mental wealth, building up good habits to increase my resilience, kind of like a savings account for the mind. And you know I'm all about the savings accounts. Of course, you need a good diet, exercise, stress management, a good sleep if you can get it, and often a little something extra. For many people, this is caffeine. Caffeine has never worked very well for me, unfortunately. At least nothing worked until Magic Mind reached out to me last summer, right when I was kind of at my lowest, honestly, to try out their focus shot. And this has been a lifesaver for me. It gives me this nice, calm, steady energy that gets me through the day. And now they also have a sleep shot, which is really awesome. I was so excited to try this one too. I've been taking it for a few days and already I've been feeling more restful. I think I've been falling asleep more quickly. I'm not going to blame them for that one crazy dream. I am a writer, so it happens. For the first time, they are offering a 24-hour pack. That's the focus and the sleep shots bundled up together with a 45% discount, which you can try out risk-free using the link in my description. January is a great time to start new habits, and Magic Mind has definitely become one of my little habits that makes me happy throughout the day. So now that we've covered procrastination and impatience, let's talk about two other barriers that tend to be rather related: self-doubt and ego. Self-doubt, I think, is something that we all experience no matter how generally confident we are in what we're creating. Everyone just has those moments of self-doubt. It can be even worse if you've had any external person in your life who has disdain or criticism upon your creative goals or achievements. But even if you had a charmed childhood where everybody encouraged you, then you get to adulthood and sometimes you just want to wither away. Why did you even think that you could do this? I definitely kind of had like the gifted child thing where I was a really precocious kid, so everybody talked about how great I was, all the adults around me. And then as soon as I reached like the barest of adulthood and I saw some of my friends doing better than me struggling to like finish projects and just feeling like I can't get things to click. Like I've wanted to be a writer all my life and I'm not doing it. It's not working. That is such a rough feeling to face. It can be really hard to get past it. But then on the other hand, sometimes I just had a big ego, which, you know, they're usually intertwined. It's your ego is just kind of a different way of having self-doubt. But the ego part of it meant that sometimes I would think like, well, actually, I'm really great. It's just that no one appreciates my genius. And that insidious little part of my brain was the part that didn't really want to listen to critique or criticism, did not want to really put the work in to improve. It's kind of just a shield where if you just tell yourself that you're an underappreciated genius, then you don't actually have to do anything. You can just sulk in the corner about it. Chances are you're going to keep dealing with moments of self-doubt throughout your entire career. I have moments of self-doubt to this day. And I also have some friends that have been trying to get published for over a decade, and I sometimes wonder, how do they cope with self-doubt? I think there is a part that you have to learn to detach yourself from your work. It helps you to put your work out there, to just kind of not take it quite as personally when it gets rejected or people don't like it. But also to remember that your whole identity is not being a writer or an artist. You have other value, even if what you create doesn't really seem like it's touching anyone in the way that you dreamed. You still have so much value as a person. It's the little tiny acts of kindness or just like making the world run that are just as important as anything else. And this can also be important just in learning to take rests, to value these smaller things that you do and think, I don't have to be working all the time. My entire identity is not writing books and getting my work out there in this grand way. Sometimes just making a really nice meal for my partner or remembering to call my best friend, those are some of the best things that I can do. And they're often the things that make life worth living. So that's one of my coping techniques when I'm starting to get buried by self-doubt, is just kind of to reconnect with like everyday life and take a step back from the work. Just do what I need to do with the work and then stop and do other things. I matter in so many other ways than just writing, and you do too. Then we have perfectionism. Oh, perfectionism. Another one that can just actually kind of cause the procrastination because you get into your head of like, it's just not good enough. It's not quite good enough. I could keep tinkering. Data and I refer to this sometimes as development hell, and we will remind ourselves, never get stuck in development hell. There is truly no easier way to guarantee your own failure than to get caught in development hell. In fact, when it comes to impatience versus procrastination, this is why I would rather you be a little impatient now and then than continue to procrastinate, continue to keep perfecting and tinkering. Sometimes you just got to put it out there. Just stop. You'll get to a point where you don't feel like you're making it better. You just feel like you're in the deck chairs on the Titanic, as one of my boss at the bookstore's favorite phrases. Once you get that sense that you're just shuffling all around, you gotta stop. It is highly possible that, yes, you might come back to this work in a year and go, oh my God, that was awful. I can't believe I even showed that to anyone, much less that I sent it to my dream agent or I published it on Amazon and people read it. You might be horrified, but you should still pat yourself on the back for not getting caught in development hell, and now you can improve. Your next work will be better, or maybe you want to rework the old work, whatever. But the thing about development hell is, I think that most of us know deep down when we have entered development hell. You can just feel it as a state, and that is when it's time to set the thing aside. Then we have envy and jealousy, which I've talked about before, and I'm going to keep bringing up now and then because I think it is a very common and powerful emotion that people don't really want to talk about because it usually involves some kind of negative feelings about one of your friends or maybe a friendly colleague or maybe even someone that you are inspired by or something like that. You've got a friend, you love your friend, and they end up doing better than you. Sometimes this is a good thing. I always think it's great to surround yourself with other people that are talented and ambitious, people who are really putting in the work. And I think you're more likely to succeed if you surround yourself with people that are ambitious and practical about what it takes to get somewhere. But there is a little dark side to this that inevitably some of those wonderful, ambitious friends are going to do better than you or hit markers faster than you. And then it can feel very discouraging. It just makes you feel like you're kind of shrunken down. And on a logical level, you might know that, this does not diminish you at all. You still have all the chances that you had before. And there's people achieving things all the time. You happen to just know a really talented friend and you're so happy for them. But we're all human. it can really just, it can put you in a funk. This is something that got so much better for me over time because when I was first starting out, those achievements, like you're young, it's kind of like when you're a kid and like every birthday and Christmas feels just like the biggest, most monumental thing. But the older you get, you're just kind of like, man, Christmas sure comes fast these days. It's kind of the same way with achievements. When you're first hitting a milestone or you're trying to hit a milestone, they feel so huge. But over time, they start to shrink down. One year, you've got a big hit, then you've got a dry spell. Your friend, she was struggling last year. Now she suddenly has something going really well. It's very common to have those ups and downs. And then you probably might know some people who just seem like they're always doing well. But even that is easier to cope with time because chances are you're starting to see more of like the behind the scenes or get a sense of why that person is doing so well. I have a couple of friends who are just killing it with indie publishing. They're making so much money. But I also know that they are writing and marketing at a pace that I don't want to sustain, and they are really researching the market. They are really writing to please a large, rabid reader base. And I've just had to come to peace with the fact that I don't want to do that. It would not be the best use of my life. It wouldn't really make me happy. They might be happy doing it. That's what they chose. They're doing well. They probably have a different kind of mental state than me where they're finding enough enjoyment out of it to keep doing it and to keep bringing that freshness to their work that the audience appreciates. But I don't have it, and I'm going to make different choices. And that's okay because there are a lot of different things that can happen in the course of a life. But especially I think if you're in your 20s and you're really trying to figure out how to make this whole adulthood thing work, I think that's when you're the most vulnerable to envy and jealousy because trying to figure out how to make a living and be a successful adult might be just eating at you so hard. So hang in there and try to let your friend's success fuel you and not make you despairing because your success, it really, really might be just around the corner. And I can also assure you that if you start to talk about your friends behind your back or just kind of get bitchy or icy toward them or start acting a little weird, once you get a little older, you're going to feel really stupid and regret that you ever had a petty moment like that. So take it from older me. Try your best to just be happy for your friends, and then they will be so happy for you in return when your moment to shine arrives. And you know what? If you never really get a moment to shine, going back to the self-confidence thing, it might just be that you have other things to do on this planet. It might not be quite what you planned, but you might be so valuable just for being you. I know it sounds cheesy, but just today, I found out that my old man friend in town, Irv, passed away last night, and I'm so sad about it because Irv just brightened every day. He was just like a sweet, funny, weird old man. He was always fun to talk to. We had such great conversations. He would just do like little nice, kind things for us at the bookstore. Or we'd go have a beer with him after work and we'd all be talking about like astrology or something. I did not really know Irv based around any kind of like great life achievement, but I will just miss him so much. So I hope to be somebody's Irv and not just somebody's favorite author. Then there's imposter syndrome. This is the one that starts to creep in when you have had some success. Imposter syndrome is that feeling you get that the success that you've achieved, you don't really deserve it. You're kind of a fraud. People are going to realize you're not really that great. Maybe you can't get past this like intense sense of humility and embarrassment for every little achievement that you gain. For me, this usually manifests in just a sense of like embarrassment and just wanting to shrink away and like stop looking at me when something's going well and I'm getting attention. And it's weird because it doesn't happen all the time. There are moments when I get some kind of success or accolades and I feel really comfortable about it. And then other times I'm just like cringing and embarrassed and I'll apologize. It's like that thing where somebody says, "Oh, I loved your book," and you're like, "Oh, it wasn't even that good." Like or you hand somebody a book and you're like, "You don't have to read it. It kind of sucks." Like the second half, I had so much trouble with it and it's not that great. I'm not really sure if this is quite the same as imposter syndrome, but whenever things are going really well for me, I get such a sense of panic about the whole rest of my life. I start focusing on things like, am I going to get a life-threatening illness? Is my house going to burn down? Is something going to destroy my life? And I can get very caught up in the anxiety over whether this happiness is going to be shattered by something horrible. And then it's like I'm just sabotaging my ability to have any kind of enjoyment over my success, because rather than being like, wow, things are going really well for me, how wonderful, instead I start imagining all the terrible things that could happen instead to ruin it. Do I have some really great advice for this? Honestly, no. I've been struggling with this all year. Ever since the YouTube channel started going better than I imagined, I have been really paranoid about it. And I think it's just part of my general anxiety. So that's what I need to work on. But I'm not very good at marketing myself, in the sense that I feel very embarrassed about talking about anything I've done or achieved. So that's another thing that I'm currently trying to work on. I've kind of like somewhat moved past some of the earlier stages of, like, I don't really procrastinate to a horrible degree anymore. I feel a lot less jealousy, but I am still dealing with the whole imposter syndrome and anxiety over any kind of success getting ruined. So I don't know. You got any advice for that one? Drop it in the comments. Now, let me talk to you. Are you currently watching this video because you opened up YouTube and you started scrolling through your feed like, what could I distract myself with today? Did you think I was going to let you get away with that? No. We are also going to talk about distraction. This is perhaps one of the great problems of modern life that we are all grappling with. There are so many things out there that can distract you. So many little dopamine hits. I try so hard to avoid these things in my life. I have very few apps on my phone. I try to keep my computer away from me when I'm doing stuff. I try to block off time. I try to read rather than watching too much YouTube. Just have scheduled times. And honestly, YouTube is the social media platform that I spend the most time on. And one of the reasons I do is because I feel like I get the most benefit out of YouTube. But even so, there are definitely moments where I turn it on and I look at my feed. Maybe I don't even watch anything. I just kind of what's on here? Then maybe I watch 5 minutes of something. And then I'm like, nah, let's see what else. Am I really using my time very well? And then there's other times where I'm just poking at the internet. We call it monkeying around here. Are you monkeying? I think that one of the keys to creative success is to be bored. You might have to force yourself to be bored, because yes, it is so much more enticing to be entertained, but it is from boredom that so many great works are born. You have to let your brain have that idle time where it's stuck, and then it starts to meander into interesting places. So the more that you can do to allow yourself to be bored, the better, in my opinion. I am guilty of this, in that I've been wanting to learn gouache and watercolor painting for the last year. I bought the art supplies on my last birthday, and I'm filming this on my birthday. It's been exactly a year, and I have not used the art supplies. I am so ashamed to say. And I know part of that is because I am never giving myself time in the day where I'm like a bored little kid, what could I do? That's what I need to get started on the painting. But it's so tempting to just check YouTube, check social media sites, Maybe I need to answer some comments on my YouTube channel. Oh, I got an email I need to answer. Maybe I should look at my bank account, see how I'm doing. Maybe I should look at some real estate. I'm not buying a house right now. I don't need to be doing any of these things. However, what they are doing is keeping me from sitting down and actually learning to use these paints. So if that is you right now, okay, this video is ending. Go do something. And that is, that's about a good place to stop. So I hope this was helpful in some way, maybe inspiring in some way. If you think that I missed any like big kind of emotional barriers that you're having to your creative life, or if you have any advice to add about how to cope with any of these, I would love to hear it in the comments. And make sure to check out Magic Mind with the link in my description to try it out risk-free for your mental wealth and support the channel. If you'd like to hear more from me in general, I have a Patreon and a Substack. Same content on both. Both have a free tier or a paid tier that gets you 2 bonus videos a month, access to my Discord, and other little extras. If you're new here, my name is Lydia Foxglove, and I've been a fantasy author since 2009, and I make videos about writing in particular and the creative life in general. And if that sounds good to you, I'd love to have you stick around, so click that subscribe button. And if you've been around a while, then thank you so much. I will see you next time. Bye! Hey, Mew. Betsy. Oh. And look at you.